saying keep an eye on. I guess you'll monitor YouTube, right? As
Mhm.
well. Awesome. You can see Bryan getting in and out of his car over there.
I can't see him.
Oh, sorry, I can because I. All right, why is it not going live on my Facebook page yet? I trust it. I have faith. Are we live on YouTube?
Yes, we are.
There we go. Just saw it. Okay, we got 1 minute before we go live.
Okay.
Yes, we are. There we go. Just saw it. Okay, we got 1 minute before we go live. Oh, I got to pull the sound off page up too. Hey, we've got one viewer. I don't know. That might be you, Erica.
It's me.
That's funny. Hey, we've got one viewer. I don't know. That might be you, Erica.
It's me. I'm hearing you after.
Yeah. Is it
Is that Bryan? Is that Bryan's or
Bryan's
do you have some? I'm hearing you.
Do you have your audio up like on your phone?
Is that Bryan? Oh shit, maybe it is me. It was me. Sorry.
All right, we have 15 seconds. So here we go. Everybody mute. Good morning, everybody. This is Aaron Barker, and you are listening to The Breakdown. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to be in your vehicle, office, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, henhouse, outhouse, or doghouse whilst we ask the questions that get you kicked out of Bible study and sent to therapy. A lot of stuff going on today. We're going to talk about an Uber of destiny. Also talking a little bit about the House Republicans launching investigations into Biden's handling of classified documents. And, some Gen Z work habits that are becoming quite popular. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Bryan. All right, we can't hear Bryan's audio right now. So this is going to be a fun show today. First, a couple things going on here that are pretty big. First thing that we're doing is Bryan is going to be broadcasting literally from the road. I guess you could say he's on location. Can you hear me, Bryan?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We are allowing Bryan to be on the show with us today, even though he's traveling from his northern Kentucky home back down to his meager and humble pastoral home in Paducah, Kentucky.
Don't get it twisted. I threatened him not to leave me alone.
All alone with me.
Which brings up all kinds of questions about what you really think about the maestro.
No, it means I don't know if I can be full assist for 2 straight hours without dropping an F-bomb somewhere. So,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, then in that case, thank goodness Bryan is joining us on the show today. I mean, we're a small outfit here. I don't have a dump button to dump comments made by hosts or callers or anything like that. Also, hey, if you want to be one of those folks that is with us today on the show, I mean, we're even allowing Bryan to do this from the cab of his truck while he's driving. Hopefully he's not going to get too distracted, but you can head on over to breakdradio.com. You can click on the microphone in the right corner, bottom right corner, and leave your sound off, and we'll play it on the program and make you famous. But let's get into the show today. Let's chum the waters and get some things talked about today. Now, of course, I don't know if you all bought into this or not, but the lottery was up to $1.35 billion, the Mega Millions jackpot. Now, of course, 1.35 is not a lot. I was waiting until I got up to like 3.5 billion, and then I would buy into it. But the winning ticket was sold in Maine on Friday the 13th.
Wow.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, no less. Someone has finally won the Mega Millions jackpot on a Friday the 13th. A lucky ticket sold in Maine matched Friday night's winning numbers to score lottery game's estimated $1.3 billion grand prize. It's the second biggest jackpot that Mega Millions has ever seen and the fourth largest across the U.S. lottery history. The win also marks the first time that a Mega Millions jackpot has ever been won in Maine. That's pretty awesome. And after no jackpot winner for 25 consecutive drawings, hey, look, that's almost as many votes as it took to get McCarthy as Speaker of the House. 25 consecutive drawings. Mega Millions top prize has climbed higher and higher in recent months. So Friday's winner, whose name is not yet known, overcame the extremely slim odds. Now, what do you think the odds are of winning, of matching the numbers here, matching all of those numbers together?
It's infinitesimal, isn't it? It's a percentage of less than 1, I would think.
Brian, you got any guesses?
I'm thinking 1 in a few billion.
So it's like, so the winning numbers were for the drawing were 30, 43, 45, 46, 61, and the Mega Ball 14. The Mega Ball was 14 and the Mega Plier was 2x. I guess that's 2 times.
Right.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers you have to match there. It is a 1 in 302.6 million chance of winning.
You know what? Good luck to him.
You know, but I heard that and I was like, wow, 3 point. I mean, that is like, that's not as big as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a much larger, do
you apply I think you have to apply the if you don't believe you don't receive rule here, right? If you don't believe you can win, then don't play, right? If you're playing the lottery, all odds are against you. So you have to believe in your mind that you have a shot in order to spend that cash, I think.
Aaron, she's slipping off into the prosperity gospel. We need to have a talk off the air.
You have to confess it. You have to believe it. You have to receive it. You have to say that money is mine.
You have to project that kind of thing. Put it out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put it out into the universe. Speak it out into existence. This is what that reminded me of, though. This scene from Dumb and Dumber. If y'all remember.
What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
Well, Lloyd, that's difficult to say. We really don't...
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight. I came a long way just to see you married. Just least you can do is level with me. What are my chances?
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say more like 1 out of a million.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
The perpetual optimist.
That's Erica. So you're telling me there's a chance? I'm speaking
The
of
perpetual optimist. That's it.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I think that's where your headspace has to be to spend cash on the lottery. I'm not saying I don't ever buy a lottery ticket, but it has to be pretty huge. And then I'll go get one. But I just do a quick pick. It's not like I'm dedicated to numbers. And then I always feel like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I knew I wasn't going to win. I never win anything. It was a waste of my money.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you sound pretty negative. You sound like a negative Nelly there, but look at this. What are the odds of the time also that this is the first time Maine has ever won anything like this? That's pretty amazing in itself. Right. So that's good. That's a good chance. Now, here's another story. I'm not sure. Of course, you all know.
Well, Aaron, we all know that the big winner is really the IRS for taking half of that, right?
Yeah, the big winner is always the government, isn't it? I mean, I hate taxes. Taxes are immoral. You all know my position on that. I don't want to pay taxes. However, I would still take half of that money. I mean, if I won 1.3 billion, I would still be like, I think I could squeak out a meager existence on this over the next few
Come on.
weeks.
I mean, I can't justify that you should play the lottery all the time, but really, I mean, you're talking about half of 1.3 billion or whatever it was, right? Who's not going to take half of 100,000?
Yeah, for real.
Like, are you telling me I'm not going to take 50 grand? It's only going to be a half of 1.3 million. No, I'm sorry. I'll take. I mean, I'm not going to turn down cash. That's just crazy. What? That's
At this point, I'll take half of your Big Mac. Okay, so I mean,
oh my God! Please, no one send Bryan half Big Macs. That's
No,
not.
please,
He's
no.
not really saying that.
Yeah, he's like he's got that health insurance now, so he's all over it. He's gonna be eating all the Big Macs.
Big Mac.
Bryan, at this point, I would take half a chicken nugget. I would take a double.
Brian's got the Mickey D's health policy.
You should probably. I mean, like if you're gonna go for it, be like just order the 2 cheeseburger meal, and I'll take half of that. That way you get a whole cheeseburger and not a sloppy seconds of a Big Mac.
There's a thought. I didn't think about that. See, that's why I've got a great think tank here. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we'll work through it all together. So big fans here. My family, we've always enjoyed watching the Avengers movies, and of course, this past week we see that actually it was the week before, Jeremy Renner was in a bad snowplow accident and almost died. As a matter of fact, posted up pictures of himself a day or two after the incident. I saw this story posted that they're fearing that his leg is going to be amputated.
Oh,
they're worried he might never walk again as well. So during this, I was actually able to get some more details on this. He was at his residence in Tahoe. He was spending time with his family, having a joyride in his vehicle. One of his friend's vehicles was stuck in the snow, and to remove it, Renner brought the Snowcat, which is a snow removing vehicle that weighs almost 14,500 pounds. After he was successful in removing the vehicle, it says in the story that he got out to inspect when suddenly the Snowcat started to roll in the snow and ran over him while he was trying to get into its driver's seat. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. So I'm trying to find a picture of what a Snowcat plow looks like, but it is
I hope you can find one because these things are ginormous. I know what this looks like, and I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the way I read it, it seems to me like he saw it start to roll and he tried to jump in it to stop it, and it ran over him while he was trying to jump in it.
Here's a picture for those people that are watching the Facebook, YouTube feed here. That's what it looks like right there. I'm not getting a very good. Let's see if I can share this. There we go. I'm not getting a very good picture, but you can see right there. It's a pretty large machine. It's one of those ones that it looks like it has almost like it's a, what do they call those machines that you drive around in? Like ATV, not ATVs, but the RTVs. It looks like an RTV, but with a big plow on the front of it, and it's got huge snow track tires on it.
If you can't see the video, all you need to picture is The Shining. This is the vehicle that Jack drove around the property, moving snow. That's what we're talking about.
Well, you know what? That's a really thank you. See, that's why you're on the show, Erica. That's why out of all the ones and ones of applicants to the program, there really weren't any. We decided to go with you. So that you're showing your smarts. We appreciate that very much. But anyway, so he was run over by this thing, trying to get back into it. And they're saying here doctors and his family are fearing that he actually might have to lose his leg. It says that after this, paramedics were called. He was airlifted to the hospital. He stayed unconscious in the ICU ward for several hours, but with God's grace, he was able to make it out of danger as he now stays awake in a critical yet stable condition. Many of his friends were worried, and fellow co-stars from the MCU days showed support and sent prayers. But there's a possibility that Jeremy Renner might end up losing his leg because of this. And I'm not sure how that's going to affect Hawkeye there, but I tell you, when you have one leg like that, if you end up having a gimp or you're leaning while you walk, you're going to be a sniper's nightmare. So it might actually end up playing out well for Jeremy Renner's character.
Oh, Marvel Studios will give him a cybernetic leg or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Oh my God.
Do we know if it was his right leg or his left leg?
You know what? That's a great question. It doesn't indicate in the story. You know how these things are with these celebrity gossip things. They don't want to get too personal.
Well, I was just curious if he was going to be all right.
Let's see. What does it matter? That, you know what? I even looked up the story to check, but you got me on that one. Good one there, Brian. So here we go. So here's this as well. I thought this was the height of irony. Stellantis CEO says that electric vehicle tech costs could mean a smaller market for newer electronic vehicles. So here's what. So this CES offered Stellantis an opportunity to show concept vehicles from Ram and Peugeot to highlight its plan for an electric aircraft with its partner Archer. But the CEO, Carlos Tavares, said that the cost of the technology, specifically the kind that will power electric vehicles, is something that has real implications for the auto industry and its employees and could potentially lead to future cuts. This is what I thought was so ironic. On Thursday evening, following a presentation during what is formerly known as the Consumer Electronics Show, and about a month after, Stellantis, citing electrification costs, announced it would idle its Belvidere, Illinois assembly plant, home of the Jeep Cherokee SUV. So here we are, a company that's divested or devoted millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into the development of electric vehicles, now says that they don't have enough electricity and the cost of electrifying and doing what's necessary is too much for them. Now, what does that say for us and the future of our automobile industry if even the power plants and the manufacturing plants that are creating the electronic cars don't even have the money to fund the electrification costs?
That tells me that conspiracy theory number 137 has just come to pass.
Yeah, my answer was going to be, it says I told you so. I mean,
yeah.
Hello.
You know, I'm fascinated with these electric cars, but I understand a certain amount of people can drive them, but we have an industry right now. Like right now, they were doing rolling brownouts in Texas and California, and rolling blackouts and shutting down people's electricity because the grid was too overstressed. I don't understand where they're going to get all of this power. I have an idea, maybe, but
listen, I know where you're going with that. And I don't know, that's a huge rabbit hole. One. However, make it work. Make it sensible. If it actually made sense to have these electric cars, then everybody would be doing it. It doesn't make sense. It's an actual hardship. And anybody who tells you it's better for the environment is out of their ever-loving mind. You should register that person as deranged.
Like, there are multiple genders, or more than two genders type deranged, or just like liberal stupidity AOC deranged, or is there a difference?
I mean, is there a difference? I don't think there's a difference. Those are
I don't think there's a difference.
Two sides of the same coin, which is called deranged.
Deranged. So it says here that although Stellantis isn't calling the plans for Belvidere permanent, 1,350 workers there now face potential layoffs. One of the challenges, if not the biggest one we have in electrification roadmap, is to make sure the technology is affordable in the middle classes. This also comes after Tesla has dropped their prices on all of their cars as well. They dropped, they have like the midsize and all that stuff. But a lot of people are getting pretty enraged about this also. It says that a self-professed Tesla fangirl by the name of Marianne Simmons bought her a second electric vehicle from the company in September, a white high-performance Model Y costing more than $77,000. Then the company slashed prices on Thursday, and she realized she could have bought the same car today for $13,000 less. She says she feels like she got duped. I feel like I got taken advantage of as a consumer. And right off the bat, I'm out $13,306. It's such a large reduction that it's going to affect a lot of people who just bought a vehicle. Now,
oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like cars automatically, as soon as you drive off the lot, they start depreciating in value.
That happens every Christmas. Every Christmas, if you buy a Lexus in November, guess what? You're paying way less for it if you buy it in December. I mean, you don't get to come back and say, "I'm sorry, this is less now. I'm gonna need you to compensate that." That's like buying a VCR when it was $800, and when it cost $80 to buy one, you want $750 back. Give me no.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to sue the VCR manufacturer because they're now selling VHS or VCRs at yard sales for like 50 cents.
Right.
And we pay, $600. Yeah, but I mean, this also, I know that I made a mistake a couple of years ago because I got a phone And then just a month and a half or so later, all of the Black Friday deals came out, and they started doing all the Black Friday deals early now. And I'm like, you know what? I could have waited and bought a phone. I'm like, I'm never buying a phone outside of that time frame again. You know,
Why would you?
Yeah,
I mean, unless it's an emergency and you have no choice. But and you don't just get to come back and say, you know, oh, hey, this is what it cost a year ago. Here's my receipt. I know that's
Well,
okay.
some retailers will give you a price guarantee for up to 30 days. I mean, that's kind of a big deal on electronics and stuff like that. If you buy a computer, if you buy something from Best Buy, or at least they used to. I don't know. It's been so long since I've done any shopping at Best Buy. But they used to do a price match where they would say, you know, if this goes on sale in the next 30 days, you can come back and get a refund.
You can't do that with a car. There's too many parts.
No.
Yeah.
Goodness, no. That'd be like all those people that bought. That would be like all the people that bought houses during the 2 summers ago when property was like 50% higher than what it should be, and then in January the market plummets. And yeah.
Is she talking about an exact comparison? Like, just because somebody else bought the same Y model doesn't mean it had all the same options she has, all the same packages, all the same steering, the same tranny, the same everything. Like, is it all the same? Is it an exact comparison? Because you could probably get the same model for $13,000 less without.
Well, now you're asking Karen and Fangirl. Now you're asking Karen and Fangirl to be, you know, logical. That we don't do that, Erica.
Yeah, like you're expecting a lot. You're asking a lot right now. You know.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
So, but yeah, things like this happen all the time. I mean, and some competitors will do price matching, but you're talking about going back to a dealership, a Tesla dealership, and asking them to do a price match or a refund on something that is over $13,000 like this. We're not talking about, hey, I was in here yesterday and this this pack of soda was $7.99 and now you're selling it for $5.99. We're not talking about that. We're talking about some massive amounts of money here that folks are doing. So you can sound off on this and more by going to breakdradio.com. Click on that microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. We'll play it on the air here. Another interesting thing here is that Republicans are finally launching or I say finally, it's only been a week. They're launching an investigation into Biden's handling of the classified documents. And there's been a lot of comparison between the two about whether or not it's the same as what happened with President Trump. There's a lot of whataboutism going on between the two organizations or between the two parties. Trump did this and Biden did this and blah, blah, blah. But in a letter addressed to Attorney General Merrick Garland, the House Judiciary Committee requested documents related to the discovery of the documents and Garland's appointment of special counsel Richard Hur to review the handling of the documents. It says that the American people deserve transparency and accountability in our most senior executive branch law enforcement officials, the letter reads, requesting the Justice Department to provide the documents no later than January 27th. And on Friday, the House Oversight Committee also began its own investigation into the documents. Chair of the committee, Kentucky Republican Representative James Comer, sent a letter to the White House requesting additional details about what the documents entailed and where they were found. Now, the big reason that they're saying that there's a difference between what happened with Trump and what happened with Biden is the way in which he handled it. And of course, we know that The View is always the best place to go for the cutting edge, tip of the spear news and social commentary. So let's see. I
didn't bring my barf bag. You didn't tell. Okay, I forgot.
You know,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, this is one of those happy little placements of The View where I'm like, oh, goodness, I'm so glad that I have the cultural phenomenon over at The View right now. So here's what the ladies over at The View said. And this is Sunny Hostin, who evidently has done these types of investigations before, and her idea about what was done and how it was handled. And this, honestly, the spin on this is stellar. I'm loving it. Here we go.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on it in terms of the timeline of events, right? So we know that November 2nd, Biden's lawyers discovered this small number of classified documents, and we're hearing that there were 10 of them. When that happens, you do immediately contact the National Archives. You do immediately contact the Justice Department, and then an investigation starts. It can be at a palatial pace. That is very true, but
I would just like to stop here because I know, Erica, that you're a speech pathologist and you have a lot of you have a very expanded vocabulary, despite what some people may say. But I don't understand her use of the term palatial investigation. What does that mean? I mean, if she's referring to the home, yeah. What's your opinion on that, Erica? Because I don't understand the use of that.
She's not trying to, she used the wrong word. She's trying to say that it moves slowly, like a snail. That's what.
So
but
glacial instead of palatial.
she did not mean to say palatial. She meant at a slow pace.
Yeah, because because of the word palatial, I was like, wait a second. I looked it up.
Unless she
and
was
it's like,
trying to describe one of the mansions they live in, and she was talking
yeah,
about the vast expansiveness of what the investigation would have to be. But I think she was trying to say it can move at a very slow pace.
I was wondering, I'm like, is she trying to brag on the billions of dollars the Bidens have made on their overseas deals with China?
Yeah,
and
like
what
it's
the
gonna,
Bidens-
like this is gonna be a huge undertaking. Maybe
yeah,
she
like
meant that. Yes.
yeah, maybe, and I'm still, but anyway, of course, that's me being a nitpicky
It's
person right
still
there.
not the right use of the word.
Still not the right use of the word at all. But
No.
let's continue with what she had to say.
Let's say this. They interview the president. He's not always that available, but they interview him and he says, it could be here, it could be there, it could be here, it could be there. Please add it and look in these places. I don't think between November 2nd and December 20th, which is less than, I think, about 6 weeks, for them to continue to complete that type of investigation is so crazy. I also will say, because I've conducted these investigations.
All right.
I will also say, I think the holidays help them out a little bit because you're talking about December 20th, then you're talking about Christmas Eve, Christmas
Oh my
Day,
gosh.
New Year's Eve, and then finally, when they get back, when everybody gets back, that's when they say, we found these extra things.
Oh my gosh, that is the liberal. That's the liberal cover up there going on and all the way through the View. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to listen to this and more. So keep it locked in right here on The Breakdown, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible studies and sent to therapy.
You're listening to The Breakdown.
Hi, it's Doc Thompson for Matthew 25 Ministries. Matthew 25 Ministries is one of the few charities I'll actually endorse because I know them. I've worked with them, and I know almost all of the money that you donate goes to help people. Go to m25m.org, m25m.org.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. I was busy eating this delicious meal from preparewithmojo50.com. You look hungry. Do you want some? Of course you do. Get your own. You can go to preparewithmojo50.com. That's preparewithmojo50.com. You can't have mine.
Welcome back to The Breakdown, everybody. Thanks for staying with us during that break. Forging right ahead on today's broadcast, listening to the cultural musings of The View, a wonderful place to go to get the best political commentary money cannot ever buy. We had Sonny Hostin telling us right before we went to break here, let's reverse just a little bit because, you know, the holidays can be difficult. We've got a lot of stuff going on. People are buying Teslas. They're realizing they're spending too much money on them. They're trying to return things. They're trying to get their broccoli casserole baked. All kinds of things are trying to be done. The turkey has to be basted, presents purchased, wrapped, and everything. And anybody in the world can just overlook the fact that they have classified documents, dozens of them, in multiple locations, which they have no authority to possess. That's actually what Sunny Hostin is helping us realize. So let's go back to what she was saying here on The View this week.
Because you're talking about December 20th, then you're talking about Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and then finally when they get back, when everybody gets back, that's when they say, we found these extra things. I don't think it's like comparing apples to orangutans.
Listen.
That's like comparing apples to orangutans she has. Of course, now let me ask you a question. If you look at it, so I don't know, maybe the orangutan is Biden, right? It's probably the same equivalent that we have there. Actually, I'm sorry, that's insulting to orangutans. So we actually, though, there's a little bit of discrepancy between the dates that she's given. She's like, oh, well, this was December 20th, and you have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, then you have Hanukkah, and then you have New Year's Eve, and you have New Year's Day, and then you have Kwanzaa, and then you every conceivable holiday in there. But it's really odd.
There's Christmas Monday.
Yes. We still have Candlemas coming up here in February. There's all kinds of things that could distract from this. But I would just like to throw in the really important date that she did not talk about, and that was the fact that they were discovered November 2nd. That's 23 days before Thanksgiving. That's like 50 days before Christmas. So I'm trying to understand exactly what she means by this.
And you know the difference? The difference that I picked up on, Aaron, is that they're saying, well, it could be here, could be there, and they're comparing that to Trump that says they're all right there behind that locked door.
Well, yeah. And not only that, okay, so you find out in early November that they're in this one office, supposedly because they were cleaning it out and some lawyers found it and they alerted, right? After that, if it were going to be equivalent in any type of way, the FBI would have raided every other location without notice, and it would have been torn apart, including underwear drawers of the wife.
And only if it was a Republican.
And that is a huge distinction we have to make there, because if you're searching for these documents and you're like, okay, we found some here. Well, now we found some over here. And oh my goodness, now we found some in a garage in your home. So look, listen, we're going to just launch a full-on investigation on this to search every place you've been in the past 15 years. That would have been 15 years? 15 years since you have had access to these documents. That's what we need to search for, and that's where we need to go. But we're not going to see that.
No, well, I don't know. I think they're setting him up.
I've heard that as well. Maybe they're setting him up for the.
I agree. I kind of agree with that theory. It's not my theory, but I hear that, and I'm like, yeah, it's about that time, because they still have a little bit of, things didn't go so great in the Senate for the Republicans, or as well in the House, and they're slowly slipping. They've got to make a move. They've got to make.
Well,
a move.
I don't know if you're going to get to that part of the clip, Aaron, but there's one part where Sonny Houston even makes the comment to Whoopi that doesn't this feel like opposition research to you? I think this could be the Republicans doing this. Yeah, because the Republicans had access to the man's garage.
Right.
That's the clip coming up here, and this is another difference that I think, and I'll play that clip in just a second, Brian. This is the question, the concern that I think a lot of people have, especially in the House Judiciary Committee, is that during this time. They're requesting all of this information, but during this time, they're wondering, did Hunter Biden have access to the storage facilities or the garages or the place in which these documents were found? And if that's the case, because of his overseas dealing, because of the issues that he's had, of course, with foreign governments and the money that they've been tied to, maybe they were selling state secrets. Maybe Biden was like, oh, look at this box here that doesn't have anything classified, wink, wink, nod, nod, inside it, Hunter Biden. I would hate if somebody went through that and used some of the information to get us billions of dollars from other countries. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
But come on. Then they still left it there?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree that it probably was used to sell secrets to foreign countries and cover. They're trying to cover up what he did in the Ukraine. But I think the fact that it's coming out is because they want it to come out, and I think it's his own side doing it to him.
Exactly. I think this is going to be the start of the 25th Amendment clause.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Well, we'll have to see where that goes. The Democrats traditionally have not eaten their own. We've started to see a little bit of it with Biden, and we've started to see him question a little bit. I don't know though. I mean, that's very big possibility.
If they want to make it look like they're not eating their own, then they're going to stop giving him his meds, and they're just going to let him go full dementia Joe.
Let him do
right
his
out
own.
in public.
Yep.
And then they're going to have no choice.
Do not administer the adrenochrome.
Right.
So, yeah, you can sound off on this, by the way, everybody who's listening, by going to breaktradio.com, clicking on the microphone in the bottom right corner, and that'll give you the option to leave your sound off and tell us what you think about this. Jennifer May down in the comments said, I think it's a setup. Also, they can't put him on the 2024 ticket. And then Jerome also says that Biden is just a convenient scapegoat. All of that. I mean, those are, I'm not disagreeing with those at all. I mean, it's very possible that they can come out in this day and age, because there are so many conspiracy theories, quotey fingers, that are actually coming true, and so many conspiracy theories that we see coming to fruition. It's difficult to step back and say, you know what, I disagree with that conspiracy theory. I don't think it's coming to pass, because we know the deep state doesn't care about what the party affiliation is between the people in the office. All they care about is whether or not that person is going to be able to carry out their specific plan, and like Jerome was saying there, be a scapegoat. Let's finish this clip off here. This one, and we'll get to that one you were talking about, Brian. This is the lovely, kind, wonderful, tender-hearted, and gentle Ana Navarro.
I don't think they're hiding anything, and the reason I don't think that
they are.
No, but let me say this. These documents are at least 6-7 years old. Nobody was missing them for 7 years. This guy, Biden could have easily flushed them down the toilet, had his crazy German Shepherd eat them, or burnt them in the fireplace. But he didn't. What did he do? He self-reported.
Well, see, so that's the difference right there. That's the fantastic difference. Is the fact that
self-reporting.
Nobody was missing them. Nobody was missing them. I mean,
now wait a minute. If they're going to argue the whole thing about the self-reporting, didn't Trump cooperate with the FBI and show them what he had? And then they said, well, maybe you need to put it in a locked room, or at least change the lock or something like that. And then they raided Mar-a-Lago?
Yep, and then they still went after Mar-a-Lago. Yeah,
so
then they still went through.
Where's the lack of cooperation when you're comparing the two stories?
There's no comparison anymore. I mean, that's like Wonderland, where if we're talking about equal comparisons politically from either side, that's a pipe dream. That ship has sailed. Let me think of a few more.
Does anybody know what date they raided Mar-a-Lago?
It was that's a good question, Brian, because if Sunny Hostin, if her timeline is correct, then the FBI, DOJ, et cetera, they would have been taking that time off for Christmas because it was so close to Kwanzaa.
Right.
What was the date? Mar-a-Lago.
You know what would be great to know? Did they raid Trump and already know about Biden's docs?
See, I've heard that. I've heard that they already knew what Biden had done, and they were trumping up, no pun intended, but they were trumping up charges against Trump so that they could wipe him out across the board.
Let's see. I think it happened in August is what it was. Let's see.
You're hanging out with some real deep thinkers there, Brian.
Yeah, August 8th. It was in August. FBI conducted searches at Mar-a-Lago. They retrieved more government documents that Trump by law had to leave with the government 19 months earlier. Maybe they had expended all their budget during that time and were unable to raid Biden's palatial estates, as Sonny put that. Before we move on from Ana Navarro, do you all remember this clip of her? This was when they were, doing all of the banning of conservatives and deplatforming people and such. This is what the lovely Ana Navarro had to say, just by way of reminder.
I have no issue with it at all. I want them shut down. I want them silenced. I want them muted. I think they are horrible for our society.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you gotta love that. I mean,
Wow.
I think she was talking about The View there. I'm not sure. I think she was talking about The View.
You know, Aaron, it's
Shut
the tolerant
down.
left. They're so tolerant. They love everyone. Well, except for us. But they love everyone else.
Yeah, everybody
She
except for
wants
us.
you shut down, silenced, and muted. I
Muted.
mean, come on.
Yeah, the
Vocal
power of
cords
the mute button.
removed.
So now there was actually that they, of course, were some of the reporters. I'm glad to see that some of the reporters were grilling a lot or grilling what. It's actually kind of funny because just so you all know, we're actually right now testing we're actually live right now on the Crusade channel, crusadechannel.com, radio the way it should be. This is Mike Church's the radio station that he has started. Mike Church, legendary Sirius XM Patriot host for 13 years, and then he started his own venture about 7 years ago, and with the Crusade channel. So we're actually streaming over there. So if you're joining us in the Crusader Stadium chat over at crusadechannel.com/chat, thank you all so much for being there. And if you're listening, we're grateful for that, and grateful for the opportunity that the King Dude Mike Church himself has given us on there. But Mike Church
Shout
refers
out to King
to
Dude.
yes, sir. Mike Church refers to Jean Pierre as Blackety Ann. And here is
That's awesome.
it is, and here is the barrage of questions, not from Steve Ducey or Peter Ducey. This is from the liberal establishment media that they are asking the White House, and they are getting constantly stonewalled. And here are some of the questions that they had for them this week.
If you're in your role in community outreach, whether the issue of the documents is a particular setback for the president at a moment when other things seem to be going pretty well, inflation's coming down, employment is solid. Like, are you finding that you're getting a lot of response from the public on that? And how do you play that?
Is it ever okay for classified documents to be mixed with personal
What I
events?
can say, what I can say is what the president has said before, what I have said multiple times. We take this very seriously.
Does the White House, broadly speaking, have an obligation to share not just with the National Archives, but with the American people when the existence of classified information is found in a private location?
Again, there's a process in this.
But just big picture, not necessarily this instance, but is it the policy of the White House that they should share that information not just with the National Archives, but with the Americans?
So I'll say this, Kristen. We have been transparent in the last couple of days. Look, I have.
You guys have answered questions when the press has broken and the news.
Because it's an ongoing process.
The president campaigned
And they just keep pushing
on
back.
the argument that he would restore confidence. We know that he's in the process of deciding whether to officially announce he's running for re-election. Does this episode undercut that argument?
You describe it as a process, but it sort of feels like a strategy, a communication strategy to protect the president from political damage. Was it the hope and expectation here that this would have remained a private matter and not have been subject to public disclosure? Were you or any member of your staff involved in the crafting of a strategy as to when this disclosure should be made in advance of CBS News breaking the story on Monday evening?
No.
We have seen online propaganda from adversaries seeking to take advantage of the revelation of the classified documents. I wonder if you can share with us whether the administration is anticipating any kind of national security implications from this fallout. Are you
I mean,
hearing any kind
and of course the questions go on. Jean Pierre Blackety Ann there loses her. Doesn't lose her composure, but absolutely stares like she doesn't know what's going on with those big blank eyes.
Can I say something? Because I feel okay.
Of course you can. That's why you're on the show.
Well, I didn't know if you were ready to move on, but I
No,
think
please.
I think that is all a plan. I think they talked beforehand. It's an act. They said you guys are going to ask these questions. She's going to look confused. She's going to look like she's annoyed. She's going to roll her eyes at you, and she's not going to give you any information. And it's all part of bringing him down. They're done. They're done with him, and they know that he's in jeopardy, and they're in jeopardy because of what we might find out.
Aaron, you made a comment a minute ago that the Democrats don't normally eat their own. They have been getting closer and closer to doing that since the BLM movement. When the BLM movement went defunct, they started throwing everybody else under the bus. And then you see it with the LGBTQIA smiley face plus minus whatever the moniker is now.
That's offensive, Brian.
Well, yeah, get over it. But you see that even in that group, you're not woke enough, or you're not liberal enough, or you're not gay enough, or you're not whatever enough.
Black enough.
I mean, it's black enough. Yeah, I mean this is an ongoing thing, and I think that it's becoming more of a strategy for them to eat their own, because it's always the one up. I've got to be the better victim. I've got to be a more victim. I got to be more victimized than you were.
They have to use it to their advantage right now. I mean, you have the T protesting to be removed from the LGBTQ infinity line. The T wants out. They want their own movement. They're already eating their own, and they can't control what they've started. So they're going to have to use it to their advantage and make it look like they were taken down by the crazy extremes of their own side.
So I of course, back in 2020, when all the Black Lives Matter riots started, George Floyd and all that stuff, yes, we did see some of that, but I don't know if that's still enough for us to say that they normally do that. I mean, yes, I did say that they are increasing. They're starting to do a little bit more of that. They're starting to, you see a lot of it instead from like Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and all of those who are actually going after the establishment, who are fighting against them, the establishment Democrats more. Yes. But typically, what we do see, what we lack in the Republican or conservative side is the rally behind and the rally support that comes behind the Democrats. They will circle the wagons on them, whereas because they're built on an agenda, right? They have a foundation of trying to push an agenda. Conservatives typically should be not the neocons, not guys like McCarthy or Paul Ryan was, or John Boehner, or those guys, but we're talking about typically conservatism is based on principles. So even if it is something that is going to damage us politically, conservatives typically do stand up and say, well, that's not right. That's garbage. That's not what you see a lot from the Democrat side. But I'm glad, and trust me, I would be fine if they decided that they were going to take Joe Biden down. But if they were, I don't think that these classified documents would be what they would be using. Because these classified
it's just going to be the start.
Trump, why not use Hunter Biden's laptop? That's where you should go. If you're going to eat your own, if you're going to destroy President Biden, if you're going to make
sure they've already denied that. They've already denied that.
But then that makes me question, why are they denying that? Why aren't they doing something with that rather than something?
I think they will. I think they'll use this as the beginning of, oh gosh, what's going on here? Maybe we should look into a whole bunch of things. Oh gosh, the laptop was true. They can't just come out and say, oh yeah, we're going to use the laptop. They have to have something else prove that the laptop is true and usable in order to make themselves look better. Like, they can't go back and say we were wrong. They have to say, well, something new has come out, and based on this, we're going to go back to the laptop, and now we can connect the two, and oh my gosh, we've got to do something. Holy cow. Yeah.
And the other thing that I think we're overlooking too, Aaron, is that this can be laid solely at Joe Biden's feet. This can be an argument for his senility. Whereas
I'm not really sure it can.
Well, I think it'll involve other people.
Everything you're using against Joe Biden is the same thing that they can use against Donald Trump. Because
no, you're missing my point.
He said that, oh, it was just my aides packing up my office, putting them in boxes. Biden said it was probably just some aides packing them up, putting them in the boxes, and taking them out of the office.
There's two different goals. All you're trying to do with Trump is make sure that he's not going to get elected again. And politically, he's done, you guys. He may think he's running, but politically, that guy's done. His political career is over. They've done their job. They don't need to go any further with that. This is a whole different end game.
Guys, but I'm not referring to the difference between Trump and Biden. I'm referring to the difference of the laptop versus the documents. So everybody, I mean, they crucified Trump over everything anyway. So he was, he went to the cross multiple times. Then you take a look at somebody like Biden. They have protected him with everything that could bring other people down, right? So the laptop could bring a lot of other people down. And if you start looking at all of the different aspects of who's involved and who's not involved, and the people that are that can actually be damaged by the laptop, right? Versus oh, he's got some documents that maybe he did or didn't know that he had. They can lay
Right.
all of this at his responsibility.
For the most
whether it
part,
was
other
staged
people
or
are
not.
right.
Right.
Other people are going to get hurt by it, but they
Right.
won't be up. They won't really be upper echelon. And let's be clear, they don't really care about whether or not they burn each other in saving their own asses.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just how they are.
And so thanks to everybody who's joining in. We got Jennifer, we got J May in there. We got Curtis is hanging out with us, and of course Brent is there too, and the Rocky Stucci. Rocky Stucci's hanging out with us. He actually commented, "We should just run for office. He may be cocky. Vote for Rocky, and if you live in America, you'll vote for Erica." Boom.
There you go.
Rocky, that would sound amazing as a sound off if you go to breakdradio.com, click on the microphone in the bottom right corner. That would sound great. So that's what we have going on right now. So we got a few minutes left in this segment. A couple things I wanted to jump into. Let's hit this real quick because, you know what, Brian? I was going to play that clip you wanted me to play from The View. Here's this from The View. One more view of The View before we take off today. Just because you need to get your view dosage of the day. Actually, you need to get your view dose of the year so that you don't have to watch it. We watch it so that you don't have to.
Donald Trump's whole argument in his defense hinges on former presidents have mishandled classified documents, and as a former president, I have the right to declassify documents. Now, I disagree with both of those, but Joe Biden is building his defense for him. Like, I hate to say it, this is much harder to
what I
argue
think?
against
I've never
Trump.
seen a luckier person than Donald Trump. Just as we're this close to getting him,
But you know what?
somehow these documents appear.
But here's the thing, Biden is wrong to have done this. He was in office
Well,
for 40
let's
years.
find out what this is first. Now, again, one of the things that gets me crazy is before we know, it's already been spun a specific way. I don't want to see that. I want to see someone explain to me, A, how it's possible that after all this time, nobody knew this. Because to me, if you're missing classified information, I don't mean to laugh, but in my house, if stuff is missing, I know it's
Does it
missing.
feel like Oppo research to you? Does it feel like the Republicans are behind it?
It's not.
It did originally, but I'm sorry, but not now, because one of the things he's saying is that, you know, some of the locations where the docs may have been shipped in the transition may have gotten taken and put, but.
So there you go. That's Whoopi. Honestly, for the first time, and I don't know how long, Whoopi was actually making a little bit of sense there. You know, she wants to know why. Go ahead.
I'm just welcome to the game, Lise. Welcome to the game.
Yeah. Why is it taking so long to get there? Well, because we all know that it's simply because they're Republican and others are Democrat. They have an agenda. All right. That's about enough. But of course, you all again can sound off on that and more. And I just got a message here that we will be carrying Hour 2 live on the Crusade channel, and it will be rebroadcast over there next week as well. So super excited about this. Now, just so you all know, I'm going to take the next couple minutes. Yeah, we're stoked about this. My church was the dude who gave me my big break in radio, for those people who don't know that. So years ago, I used to listen to Mike Church when I had an iPod, what do they call that? iPod something, I can't remember. iPod Touch is what it was. And I had downloaded the XM app, and I would go to Starbucks. Yes, I went to Starbucks then. I would go to Starbucks before I had to go to work, and I would pull up on the XM app and listen to Mike Church and listen to his show, and his post-show show is what it was called then, on the Patriot Channel. And I learned so much stuff about that. I mean, just the amount of history the guy knows. He's like an encyclopedia. And then he ended up leaving XM, or there was his whatever was there. I don't want to get into too many details, but he left XM and then started his own venture. And then years later, probably about 3 years later, 2-3 years later, I came across him again, was able to find him and called into his radio show. And it was like me, I was like starstruck. Here's this dude that was, bigger than life on Sirius XM. And now he's got his own station, the Crusade Channel, doing fantastic work. And he was like, hey, why don't you come do a show for us on the Crusade Channel? So I started out in the Crusade Channel in February of 2020. I don't know, 19, I think, somewhere back there. And I did a show 3 days a week, and the folks over at the Crusade Channel were amazing. Mike was awesome, tutoring, coaching, the thing that somebody like me that was, getting the big break in radio needed. And then ever since then, just maintained a relationship with the Crusade Channel. So coming back and him being willing to carry the show on the Crusade Channel on Saturdays is almost like me going home in a way, because that's where I got my start, and that's what I appreciate so much. So really do appreciate Mike Church, all the folks over there at the Crusade Channel. So if you're listening today on the Crusade Channel, welcome. We appreciate it very much. And if you want to, you can go over to crusadechannel.com and go into the chat room and find out the details on how to get involved in that. It is a live chat that occurs during the show as well. And now this does not mean that the show is leaving the Mojo at all. We're staying on Mojo. We're just adding an affiliate with the Crusade Channel, which is amazing. So yeah, big news. Very grateful for that, and super excited for the opportunity. And hopefully we'll be adding more affiliates here in 2023 and growing the reach of the program, because that's really what we want to do. I talk to hear myself talk right here on the least listened to talk show in all of America, but I would like other people to listen to me as well. So that is much appreciated there. Crusadechannel.com again is the website to go to for that. And you can see if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, I've got the Mojo logo in the background on our video, and I've also got the Crusade Channel background on the video. So I hope to fill that up, that affiliate page there, fill that up this entire year. All right, we've got a couple of minutes left in this segment. I don't want to jump into something too much because I got a lot of great stuff, a lot of great content coming up for the next hour. And we're going to be talking about work, Gen Z work, quiet quitting, rage applying, and starting out with a fantastic story from about an Uber of destiny, which is really going to be interesting. Climate change as well. The key factor that's missing when people talk about climate change, we're also going to hit that, because you can talk about all this stuff, but if you don't get to the root causes of what's going on, well, then you're just not going to get things done. You're not going to be able to change anything if you don't do that. So breakdradio.com is the website. You can leave your sound off over there. Let's jump into the chat room and see what we have going on here in the chat room. Curtis says, I remember when Whoopi was funny. I think if she stays away from the politics stuff, I mean, there are a lot of people that I think that I consider are hilarious, that I would love to hang out with. I would love to talk to. I would love to have dinner with Bill Maher. I think hanging out with that guy would be fun.
The only thing funny about Whoopi Goldberg is that she dated Ted Danson. Just imagine that.
Oh man, good old Ted Danson. I mean, I remember Sister Act and Sister Act 2 and Ghost. I mean, she did some really good work in those. Another person that I think is funny, and I probably would agree with a lot more than what others would realize, and that would be Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell was funny. She's funny.
Yeah, she is. She's a 9/11 truther, and she refused to work with Woody Allen. And there's a pretty vulgar story about her and working with Woody Allen after he tried to get her. She also would not even go over and shake hands with the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, because of what he did. So, all right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to be talking about this and more. Keep it locked in right here on The Breakdown, and also the new affiliate, the Crusade Channel. All right, folks, see you on the flip-flop. All right, we are out for that segment. I'm going to throw some music up here, some background music for everybody that is listening. Let's get what's up?
I'm going to mute first a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, we will be back in a moment. 1 minute. Welcome back to the Breakdown, everybody. Thanks so much for staying with us during that break. We are excited today. It's a great day, a great moment in the history of the Breakdown as well. We are actually, if you missed it, simulcasting with our radio broadcasting affiliate, the Crusade Channel, at crusadechannel.com. The Crusade Channel live talk radio the way it should be. So head on over there if you want to check out the programs that they offer. Also, the Mike Church Show and a lot of other fantastic programmings now, including the Breakdown on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And another thing, since we're talking about radio and what's going to be happening with that, I am actually revitalizing my Friday shows over on Odyssey. So the paranormal aspect of this that so many enjoyed, it's going to be rebranded just a little bit. So it's not just Freaky Fridays. It's going to be the Breakdown, and it's going to have probably what I'm working on right now is the Breakdown Paranormal Files. And I've got a lot of great interviews already lined up as we kick that off over there. So I guess you can consider that as an affiliate for the Breakdown because we're adding that on here as well. Super excited to do that today and announce that to everybody. All right. Now, after having listened to Anna Navarro, and even though Whoopi was a little bit, correct on some of the things she was saying, I think we need to kind of cleanse our ears of the stuff that was going on or that has been going on in this world. And I don't think that there's any better way to do that than by this feel-good story right here, the Uber of destiny, right? So just imagine you're having health issues, having health problems. You need to make sure that, you need to make sure your body is taken care of and that you're healthy. And here is something that a guy came across, and it changed his life. And really, it just makes you feel really good. Grab a box of tissues if you have them.
Was doing one last job. Talk about a special bond. A South Jersey Uber driver was doing one last job before trading in his car when his life changed forever. Army veteran Tim Letts felt compelled to donate his kidney to his passenger, who was a complete stranger. Action News photojournalist Tom Kretschmer now with more on this special connection.
I know miracles have happened in the past. The miracle I'm here. I really had those beliefs reinforced. My name is Bill Samuel. I'm a kidney transplant recipient. About July, my transplant team called me in and said I need to start looking for a kidney instead of waiting on that waiting list because of my age. The next day, the vascular center had to send an Uber after me, and they had to call an Uber to pick me up. The Uber driver was quite an interesting person. About maybe halfway home, awesome. Tim says, God must have put you in my car. When he pulled up in front of my house some 40 minutes later, Tim says, if you'll take my name and number, I'd like to donate a kidney to you. Well, that about floored me. And I was shaking so bad I could hardly write his name and number. I need people that were in a similar situation that I was in to know that there is hope. Whew. If I hadn't shared my story with Tim, I would have never gotten a kidney because he would not have known I needed one. Yeah, giving a kidney is actually a gift of life. And I feel so fortunate to have that gift.
How amazing is that? A guy he needs a kidney transplant. He gets in an Uber, starts sharing his story. When I drove Uber, people talk to you about everything. We had conversations. Oh my goodness, we had some conversations when I was an Uber, driver. This guy starts telling him about his story, and this dude's like, "Hey, I think God put you in my car." Gives him his name and his number and says, "I'm going to give you a kidney." Now, I don't know if the kidney was in his trunk. I don't know if he had done some other work for some other people that he would, potentially had some spare body parts lying around. I mean, you can only we could put a twist on a story like that.
I don't know. I don't know if you know this, but a kidney transplant is actually more difficult. The operation for the donor is actually more difficult than the operation for the recipient.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because I would say, yeah. I guess because your body's going through functioning through both of those kidneys and then losing one, now it has to completely shift through a normal, healthy body rather than slowly migrating over to the use of one kidney there. So,
and it's a giant cut and breaking of ribs and removal of something that's not supposed to be removed. You have to sort of go like this and take everything out and then get the kidney and then sort of put everything back in. It's very traumatic to your system.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of places.
My mom was a recipient of a kidney. Sorry, Aaron, I didn't mean to
that's hard.
So your mom was
both
a recipient, right?
Yeah, my mom received a kidney from her sister, and they told her sister the same thing. They told her, said, "Listen, it's going to be harder on you than it is going to be on my mom." And the way that it went down is that they couldn't remove mom's native kidneys because she wasn't healthy enough, and so they actually gave her a third kidney, and they ended up putting it up on her hip bone. They laid it up on her hip bone as opposed to putting it where it was supposed to go. So
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I mean, just the fact you meet a random stranger like this, and I say random, I mean, it's providential, obviously, but you meet somebody like this, and you have those days where you just don't feel like talking, but you come across some of those people and you just start discussing, you just start having conversations with them because you feel comfortable talking to them and discussing that. And this was just one of those meetings where the Lord, I think, honestly, the Lord lined this up. The guy was willing to. He was young and healthy. I believe he was an Army vet, young and healthy enough to do this, and gave his kidney to somebody else. A 33-year-old Army veteran lives in Germany, but plans to stay in contact with Sumiel through Facebook. And he continues the rehab twice a week and just passed the 1-year anniversary of his kidney replacement surgery. So this happened a while ago. We're just now hearing about this, but this did happen a while ago. Amazing story. Just when you think that humanity is crashing down around us, we have amazing stories like that. Followed up with this story here. The Federalist says only psychopaths leave their shopping carts in the parking lot.
I'm sorry, I've heard that before, and I have to say I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with this sentiment.
Well, it says here that refusing to put away your shopping cart is an atrocious act forgivable by only God himself. I heard years ago that people that, like, we talk about self-governance, if people can't even put their cart back in the shopping in the cart place, what do they call that, the cart corral at a store, how are we going to self-govern ourselves there? And but this is it's funny here. Let's see, it says here Merriam-Webster defines a psychopath as a mentally unstable person, especially the online dictionary elaborates a person having an egocentric and antisocial personality marked by a lack of remorse for one's actions, an absence of empathy for others, and often criminal tendencies. Here's another definition for your lexicon. A psychopath is someone who doesn't take the time to return their shopping carts. There's a multitude of reasons that someone, when push comes to shove, refuses to wheel their basket all the way back to its enclosure. Maybe their hands are full. Maybe they are short on time. Maybe the weather is bad. Maybe the trek is too far. An excuse only one could agree that is easily remedied by parking closer to a cart return or to the store itself. Maybe the buggy needs a tune-up and won't survive the journey to its pen 3 spots over. Or maybe a cart abandoners are egocentric jerks. Patrick Mahomes fan who think they're too like this Patrick Mahomes fan who think they're too good to do their due diligence at Walmart. He does appear mentally unstable. This is a video. I've seen this guy before. What this guy does is he goes to he goes to these shopping carts or goes to these stores, and if somebody doesn't put their shopping cart back in its area, he puts a magnet on their car. And oh my God. Yeah, these people that he does this to get unbelievably angry. Here we go. Let's watch a clip of this real quick. Now, this is unedited, man. I sure hope there's nothing in there. I don't want to lose our affiliate the first day we get them.
We try to watch them through the glass of another, just by the way, inside car surveillance, through the glass of another vehicle. So they can't really make out our form. Again, much like a cheetah in the wild, we'll blend in with the... All right, here we go. That's not where the carts go. That's the mulch.
It's not where the carts go.
The cart returns right there.
What's that?
You left your cart on the mulch. So that's how they get, like, the wheels get all gunked up. They have the cart returns for a reason, right?
So I don't get what you're fucking doing. Do you want me to quit shopping here?
Sorry about that. So we're going to have to drop that. But this guy gets angry. Brian, you said it was the cart narc, but he lets people know about that. I mean, of course it damages the carts, but I mean, that's really not what it's about. What it's about is when you're driving and you start to pull into a parking space and there's a cart in the way. That is what's so frustrating. That's what's so angering. And you look over and the cart pin is like, honestly, like 2 parking spots over, or you're right next to the store and you could easily walk into the store and put it there. But instead you're like, yeah, I'm just going to roll it up here on the mulch, which honestly, it takes effort to lift that cart up. I don't know if it takes the same amount of effort, but it does take effort to do that. And we have some comments here. Jamie says self-governance will never work because we as humans are flawed, be it dumb, evil, greedy, etc. Policy, rules, and laws exist because of these flaws. And then Knights Who Say Knee says maybe they don't return the cart because they are an a-hole. Well, that could be possible as well. That's very possible. Oh man!
Sometimes the simplest expression is the most accurate.
That's an explanation, but I got it.
Yeah. So
whatever.
The article concludes here. They may not comprehend it in the moment, but their act of returning the cart is a litmus test for what they believe about personal responsibility. It shows the people around them that they care about personal development, hard work, and the health of society. Those who fail to return the cart, especially repeatedly, deprive our communities of the acts of goodness that make the world go round. Psychopath, the lot of them.
Yes, I agree with that. It's kind of like making your bed. Just do it. Put your cart back. I mean, come on. How simple is it to just be a decent person? Start there. Start with the small things.
I don't know. I think that making your bed as a single individual with a king size bed, that should be classified as an Olympic sport.
No, that's just classified as you being lazy. Let's just be honest. Don't twist it.
Whoa! Wow!
Now, hold on just a second, Brian.
Okay.
What did you say about an Olympic sport?
Making a bed. He said, as a single person, making my king size bed is an Olympic sport.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it is.
Well, Brian, we don't know the type. I mean, I know you're a larger fellow for those people who are listening who haven't seen that, but I can see where it takes a lot of exerted effort for you to actually make up your bed. I can totally get that. So
get back in there in like 15 hours anyways.
That is a good that's proper thinking right there. I wonder about that. It's like, why do I make up my bed? I'm going to mess it up tonight anyway. I mean, so I guess you can use the same logic on that, Brian. Why throw the garbage in the garbage can? It's going to go out to the curb once a week anyway.
Exactly.
Rocky Stucci in the chat said, I kind of agree. I was sore the last time I made my bed. And
let's just note all of the gentlemen who are like not it's not about whether or not you're going to get, can we not? I mean, we could spend half an hour on why you guys are saying that,
it's funny that
it doesn't matter to make the bed. I mean, we don't even have time for that psychological analysis.
I think we've hit Erica's sore spot and pet peeve.
Well,
it's not making the bed.
Well, Erica here is, she is speaking for all females, right?
Oh,
and
gotcha.
all
Okay.
women are represented with misinformation here.
Gotcha. Okay.
So as she speaks about this, I'm going to assume that every woman out there that hears a guy say, like Rocky or me or Brian say, hey, what's the point of making up the bed? All the wives are going, oh my gosh, I can't believe these guys. This is stupid. Why aren't these guys thinking they're bad?
Okay,
That's what
first
they're
of
saying.
all, I'm not a wife. Second of all, I didn't make it that sound ever. Have I ever talked like that?
You've
Ever.
never ever talked like that. You just did. I've never ever talked like that.
I did it on
Never
purpose.
ever.
Oh man. But hey, you are female, which means you speak for all females on this program about
No,
any
I do
topic,
not speak for all
anytime.
females anywhere ever. Wives, non-wives, any type of all females anywhere. No, I do not.
So here is
I can only speak for myself.
It's funny you brought up beds. I wasn't going to bring this story up. I actually just remember I was just reminded of this story. But single guys have admitted to an unhygienic act that won't help their relationship status as women brand it filthy and disgusting. Single guys have just admitted something that is most definitely not going to help their relationship status. A British study looked at how often adults change their bed sheets, and single men were found to have significantly worse hygiene than women. Almost half, 45% of UK single men admitted they wait up to 4 months to wash their bed sheets, while another 12% said they wash them as and when they remember, which could be even longer.
Oh God.
Nope.
Oh.
So Brian, you're a single guy. How often do you change your sheets?
Every 2 weeks.
Because the saying is as clean as a preacher's sheets. I mean, we got to know how clean your sheets are if that's actually true.
Well, every 2 weeks, and actually, in my northern Kentucky home, I had a maid service that came in and did it every 2 weeks. So,
Dear
and then they were
just admit that on air.
Oh, there was no
I did,
reason
yeah.
for you to bring. You did not have to say that. Let's just put that out there. You just did that to yourself. So whatever happens as a result of you saying you had a maid in your second home that used to change your sheets for you is all on you, Pastor. I cannot save you from that one.
Up in my northern Kentucky home, my cleaning service.
I'm not asking anyone to save me from that one. I gave all of that lifestyle up to preach the gospel. Ooh! Now there goes my piety.
Curtis, you see Curtis? Curtis says he wants to know if your maid hazard pay.
No, they love me.
Oh my
They love
goodness.
me.
Of course, they can't speak for themselves here. So Brian, change, and you'll know the Kentucky home. You had your maid service. They help change your sheets every so often. But J-May says,
I also sent my laundry
serious?
out. So, nah.
My gosh, man. Brian, not all of us are as affluent as you are on this apparent palatial estate you have in northern Kentucky, your other home in Paducah, and your massive pastoral salary.
Yeah, I'd also like to add to your use of outdated and archaic terms, nana. Okay.
Yes.
What
That's the
the
scuttlebutt
heck
right
was-
now.
Yeah, we're
That's
not
the
using that
scuttlebutt.
one anymore. Yeah, just let that one out. Let that
Wait a
cat out
second,
of the
did he
bag and
actually
don't bring
say-
it back.
Did he
goes,
actually say nana?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
He
my
said
goodness.
I also
You know what?
something about it.
I
Also something
can't-
about his laundry. So nana. Oh, what? No, we're not. No.
So here's the deal. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
What
I
game?
took
What game are you
advantage.
playing?
I took advantage of certain tax deductions because I worked in my home. Therefore, I could deduct the actual house cleaning, and
hadn't
because
heard
I
about-
wore clothes, I could deduct a percentage of the laundry bill.
I
And
wear
it was-
clothes.
Look,
Brian,
Can I
Look,
Google?
here's
no
the
one
deal.
told us.
Greg?
Here's the
No
deal.
one
Time
told
out,
us
time
about
out, time
the
out.
addition. No one told us about the new game on The Price is Right, where you can earn tax deductions and win prizes for the use of it's like old
Maid
English
services, and dry
sayings,
cleaning,
right?
and sending the
I know.
laundry out
Okay,
to get it
I'm
done
just
because
gonna
I don't
say
have
this.
time.
It was cheaper for me to throw all those clothes in a bag and set them on my back porch, and they came back the next day, pressed, folded, hung up, ready to go, and it
Wow.
was cheaper than me the buying Tide and the time it took to do the laundry itself. So you know what?
You're just cheaping
I'm
it.
okay.
There you go. Yeah, just
Oh my
Hey,
goodness gracious!
I'd do it
yeah.
again too.
Wow.
Okay, there we go.
Wow. Wow.
The Nights Who Say Knee is asking, Brian took advantage of his maids. Shame.
Shame.
And then a single man needs a maid service.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Roger Rabbit says here in the chat, he says sheets aren't made to be washed. You use them till they get holes in them and then throw them away. Or was that oh boy.
No.
Gosh, Roger's- Wow,
Yeah.
Roger.
No.
Yes, J May. They're saying 4 months, but the kicker about this story is not just 4 months. Is that 12% of those can wait even longer to do that. So that is, you brought that up, Brian. That was all your fault. That complete side conversation we had, that rabbit hole we went into with
It's all on you, man. That is all
All
on you.
on you.
I own it.
There you go. So here's this. So a landlord rejected an unmarried Christian tenant's application. I actually heard about this on the Fiorella Files on the Crusade channel the other day, which, by the way, if you're just tuning in, we are broadcasting on Mojo 50, Live Free, the free speech First Amendment radio station. And then also we're broadcasting and simulcasting with our radio broadcasting affiliate, the Crusade channel, at crusadechannel.com, the Crusade Channel live talk radio, the way it should be. I heard about this the other day. A couple in the U.S. have shared their bizarre altercation with a landlord who denied their application because they said they were Christian. A couple were asked to answer a questionnaire when applying for the property, with the landlord asking if they'd have a problem with him expressing his faith around them. Tenants were able to put down that they were not Christian, but didn't have an issue with the landlord expressing their faith. And it shows the application here. And this application, it just flat out asks if the people are going to have a problem with them showing or being asked these questions, and if they are all right with him sharing their faith around them, even if they are not Christian, even if they disagree with that particular belief. It says, I acknowledge that the landlord is this property is a professing Christian, and your options are, am a Christian too and have no problem with expressing his faith. Am not a Christian, but I have no problem with him expressing his faith. Don't wish to disclose my faith, but I have no problem with the landlord expressing his faith. Would have a problem with his expressing his faith around me or my family. Now, what one couple did was they checked on there that I am a Christian. I have no problem with him expressing his faith. However, he responded to their application because they put on there that they were living in wedlock. They didn't use the term wedlock, but they put on there that they weren't married and they were living together. And throughout the letter, which is a teensy bit creepy, the letter to the couple says, I was able to take a quick look at your application, and I immediately saw that I will not be able to approve your applications. Both of you checked off that you are Christians, and so I need to work with you as a brother and sister in Christ. In that case, both of you should know that living together outside of wedlock is a sin. Here is just one example from the Bible. He gives 1 Corinthians 6, 9, and 10. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. Both of you are free to make your own choices, but I can't aid and abet you in your disobeying Dad. He refers to God in this as Dad. And then he says, let me encourage both of you to really think about what I'm saying. Think about all the things that have blown up or gone wrong in your life. I'm certain that those events did not occur because you are seeking righteousness. Rather, they happened because you went against what Dad said. Both of you are free. And it says, rather, they happened because you went against what Dad said. Why would you want to repeat the same mistake now? I have learned the hard way that sin is never to be the right course of action, even when it seems at the moment to be the most logical and appealing thing to do. It only leads to building our house on sand. Let me therefore encourage both of you to look at this letter, which I bet you never saw coming, as a moment to have a serious conversation between yourselves about building the rest of your life on a more firm foundation. And of course, they were upset because we were honest on the application. Like you asked, you're not going to review the application any further. You're passing judgment, and I'm sure God wouldn't like that. That's a sin in itself, says the young lady. So, thoughts on that, Pastor?
Well, we actually had a write-up in this in one of my ethics classes once before, and a couple of people made the comment, do we know for a fact that they're fornicating, or are they just cohabitating? and there is a difference. Now, I think that it's dangerous for a couple to cohabitate, even if they're not fornicating, because it leads into all kinds of temptations and all kinds of public personas that are not, may or may not be accurate. So, again, God's the only one who can determine whether that they're actual fornicators and whether they're sinners, right? But I do believe that you got to go with the whole argument that, you know, you've got to have a good reputation around people. You've got to have a good reputation. I mean, the Bible says, "Don't let your good be evil spoken of," so forth and so on. So,
all right, well, hold that thought right there. We'll be back in just a minute. We'll continue this conversation and more. Don't forget, you can head over to breakdradio.com. Leave your sound off by clicking on the mic in the bottom right corner. We will return momentarily.
Fighting for your right to be wrong. Mojo 50.
Supply chain disruptions, shortages, panic buying. Unfortunately, they've all become facts of life in 2021. The good news is you have preparewithmojo50.com as a hedge against all the craziness. At preparewithmojo50.com, not only will you find emergency food supplies.
Remember when that seemed like a fringe conspiracy theory thing to do?
Not so much anymore, right? Not only will you find the emergency food supply, but also water filtration, air filtration, all sorts of other tools that you can use in the event of an unforeseen situation or emergency, which with every day that goes by seems more and more likely. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Preparewithmojo50.com. If you want to keep food on the table, if you just want to maintain some sense of normalcy, preparewithmojo50.com is the answer. Preparewithmojo50.com.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
So I guess it would be breaking news. We're getting some news coming through the chat. I saw this today while we were doing the show prep, but Evel Knievel's daredevil son, Robbie Knievel, has died at the age of 60. It was the first thing I thought about, of course, was the vaccine, but he had pancreatic cancer and took him down pretty quick. So that was unfortunate. So prayers, of course, go out to the family and friends of Robbie Knievel. And of course, y'all remember Super Dave, which was kind of the mocking version of Evel Knievel and all the stunts and stuff he used to do. Man, that guy was hilarious. I think he died too.
Did he?
I think so.
I mean, you probably wouldn't hear that about that as much as you would about Robbie Knievel dying, but
yeah. Nope, Super Dave's still alive, looks like. But anyway, yeah, Robbie Knievel has passed away. And this week also Diamond from Diamond and Silk, we saw that she passed away as well. That's terrible. So
not a lot of details on that one, but
no, which is odd. You would think that they would try to, especially with all this stuff swirling around about the vaccines and the vaccine status and all the deaths that we've seen with that come flying up. You would think that they would post out, hey, she wasn't vaxxed. This was a pre-existing heart condition, something along those lines. But there was nothing like that that I've seen so far. So praying for them and their family. They were always fun to watch, always fun to listen to. My wife always loved listening to them and what they had to say. So before we went to break, we were talking about this landlord that was out of Tennessee that took an application from a couple that wanted to move into the apartment complex that he managed. And on the apartment complex, you could indicate whether or not you're a Christian or not a Christian, and whether you had a problem with the owner displaying his Christian faith or talking about his Christian faith around you. And in this instance, this couple checked that they wouldn't mind that they were Christians. But one of the problems that the landlord noticed was that they weren't married. So what he did was, instead of just rejecting their application, he took a brotherly Christian Christ-like role and decided to write them a letter and tell them, this is the reason I'm not bringing you on. This is the reason I'm going to rent the apartment out to you. And the first passage of scripture that he noted was 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9, verses 9 and 10, actually. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived. There was that part, but there was another passage, and Brian, I'm gonna let you jump back in on this real quick while I look this passage up real quick. But you were talking about something there about the let not your good be evil spoken of, and that scripture. So what else did you want to add to the conversation? Hold on just a second, Brian. I had to. There we go, Brian. You're good.
There we go. Okay, so I think as Christians, we got to be very careful in how we approach sin, and I don't mean sin as in what we call sin. How about that? Because there's a lot of things that traditionally people look at as sinful, or that look at as not desirable, and what happens if we're not careful is that we start passing judgment on things that God didn't pass judgment on. So what I was saying prior to the break is that we don't know if they are actually fornicators. We don't know if they're having sex outside of marriage. All we know from the given information is that they're living together. Okay, so is living or cohabitation an actual sin? I don't think that it is. I don't see anywhere in Scripture that it is. So the argument be made that he's making an assumption that because they're together, they're ultimately having sex and so forth and so on, and there you have it. So I think as Christians, your testimony can be damaged by trying to make public things or trying to condemn things publicly that God himself doesn't condemn.
Well, there are a couple things that go along with that, though, Brian. So you think about in 1 Corinthians 5:11, we're told that now I have not written unto you that you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother or be a fornicator or covetous or an idolater or a railer or a drunkard or an extortioner, with such and one not to eat. Now, what he's speaking of specifically there is those people who name the name of Jesus Christ but aren't living a Christian life and aren't glorifying God as they should, that we shouldn't be hanging around them or associating with them. And in this instance, even though he may not know whether or not they're sleeping together and having sex outside of marriage, the scriptures also tells us that we're supposed to abstain from all appearance of evil, even if you are not engaging in sexual intercourse, living together. The association of that, especially if you're unmarried, tells people that we are engaging in those acts which people do when they live together.
And Aaron, I'm not disagreeing with you completely, but I think that's a slippery slope. Okay, again, there's been people that tried to justify their own ideas or their own condemnations of other people because of traditions or what they assume leads to something else from something else. And my point being is that if we don't know for a fact that they're fornicating, then it's really not fair to assume that they are. And that is the crux of the sin, right? So if they are having sex outside of marriage, that's definitely sinful, and it's not something that is attributed to the Christian lifestyle. But again, I'm not saying the man was wrong. It's his property, and I know other organizations that won't even let you rent property from them or even stay on their facility if it's a co-ed situation and you're not married. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I just think we have to be very careful, just automatically assuming that we know what goes on behind closed doors.
Erica?
So
yeah, I mean, I look at it from a probably more pragmatic viewpoint. What he's doing is not illegal if he's renting legally a residence that has less than 12 individual units. You can rent to whoever you want. That doesn't, fair housing laws in that case do not apply. He asked the question and she answered it. She checked, I'm a Christian and I'm okay with you displaying your faith. If she wasn't okay, I'm sure she didn't expect that response, but if she wasn't okay with that, then she should have checked, I am a Christian and I am not comfortable. There was that option. And then also, if you're going to be upset about how that landlord feels about it, then be lucky that he replied in the manner that he did, which, while you might find it overbearing and may not agree with it, is his prerogative. And be glad that you now know that and can choose a different place to live, is how I would really look at it.
Kind of a blessing in disguise there that somebody would, I don't have a problem in situations like this. The issue that I would look at is not necessarily that he wrote the letter, because if you step back and you look at this, you're like, hey, you know what? I commend the guy for being bold. He stood up for his faith. He was standing up for the biblical principles. He was doing what he said.
But stop there, right? Like, if he'd have just said, I view it this way, and in my view of scripture, here's what a thing, and I choose not to rent to you based on that, and stop there. Don't judge. Just make it how you interpret scripture and what your choice is for the property that you're renting.
And the other concern that I would have is that if he wrote this because of the application, what is he going to say if he sees me carrying a bottle of wine, a case of beer, a dead body, or if he hears some strange, weird noises from the bedroom? Like, is this going to be the guy that's constantly knocking on my door going, you know what? I saw you carrying that case of beer. I heard that you were watching this movie. I saw that. I mean, is that going to be the guy? Oh, you're out on your balcony enjoying a cigar. I mean, if that's going to be, I would look at that and be like, you know what? I appreciate that he's going to do that, but I'm not going to put myself under that kind of spy agency where I feel like every move that I'm making is going to be watched. Now, as far as judgment, we're supposed to give judgment as Christians. Matthew chapter 7 tells us, judge not lest you be judged yourself, but with the same judgment you meet, it's going to be judged right back at you. We're supposed to judge righteously, but I think my judgment would be not going to do that because I don't want to be watched. You can sound off on that, by the way, by going to breakdradio.com, clicking on that mic in the bottom right corner, and we'll play your sound off on air. Now, there's a lot of things that can be said about Gen Z. You're gatekeeping my sleigh, or sleigh queen and all that. But one of the things interesting here is that in the workplace, Gen Z is did y'all like that? Don't gatekeep
my sleigh. Oh my God.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah, my daughters tell me I use that the wrong way all the time, but that I just revealed that I use that all the time. I do it because one of these days I'm going to say it and it's going to be so apropos and people are going to be like, oh my gosh, that guy's like totally hip.
That guy's so cool.
That guy's slay. But Gen Z is the least likely to report workplace misconduct, but it's not because they don't want to. I thought this was interesting because most Gen Zers seem to be more opinionated. They seem to speak out a little bit more when they see injustice or they see problems or issues. But it's actually, the reason is pretty fascinating. A nonprofit Ethosphere Institute has released its annual ethical culture report, which covers ethical trends in workplace environments. And one of the most salient insights looks at employees' willingness to report workplace misbehavior. Over the pandemic, respondents say that they were more willing to report workplace misbehavior, and yet they actually reported less of it. So they were willing to, but they didn't report it. And this was especially true for Gen Z, which the report describes as workers 25 years old and younger. According to the survey, 38.9% of Gen Z respondents said they did not report misconduct when they observed it, despite their professed willingness to report it. That compares to 31.8% of millennials who did not report and 27.6% of both Gen Xers and baby boomers. They were asked the question, when you saw misconduct, did you report it? And it's most important to point out that a good percentage of respondents from each age group declined to answer the question. The reason that they gave behind it, however, was because they were afraid of the retaliation from their employers for reporting misconduct. It says here that of the misconduct that respondents reported post-pandemic, harassment or discrimination was the most widely reported, followed by bullying, which was the type of misconduct that increased most pre to post-pandemic, retaliation, fair employment practices, and conflicts of interest. But Gen Z was worried because they said that the younger generation, the less likely they are to have confidence in their employers' anti-retaliation policies and procedures. So I look at that and I wonder. Go ahead, Erica.
I view that as there may be a tide turning, and that employers aren't kowtowing to the woke BS as like they were over the last couple of years. So now they're noticing that certain complaints, which they find valid, which have been this unbelievable whining culture for the last 10 years probably, now employers are saying, yeah, you know what, that's not really an actionable complaint, and you might just need to grow the heck up. And they're not really taking some of those as an employer. I will tell you, there are certain complaints that we go, oh wow, that's more of a red flag as to why we may not want to keep you around as long as we thought we would, than, oh, we got to do something about this. There's a difference between an actual complaint, and it's that there's a different attitude towards those kids who not only are they not as willing to show up on time, not as willing to do anything above and beyond what is exactly stated in their job description. They don't want to get dirty. They don't want to sweat. They don't want to be asked to do anything that isn't specifically described. And they don't even want to volunteer when they're asked to volunteer for anything that's outside the scope. And now maybe their complaints aren't being appreciated as much. That's just that's just my viewpoint.
Well, you would have to, I guess you would have to drill in deeper, find out what they consider as bullying, what they consider, these issues and problems. Having worked in toxic environments before, the smallest or the largest things that you hold in or talk about end up in retaliation. I've worked for small businesses before where there's no HR department and your direct link is right to the owner, and retaliation happens on a regular basis, even if you so much as disagree.
Yep.
I can understand the concern there because, and this course does happen, a lot of churches, a lot of locations, but drilling down a little deeper, I like your insight there, Erica, on what they mean by bullying and what they mean by the issues and the problems. That's definitely something to dig into. Billie Eilish this week. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's not real. Like, I know what people experience, and just because I work somewhere or am involved somewhere that's not our philosophy, and that's not how we respond. It's more of a family. I understand that there are places out there where there is real and true unfair situations in the workplace that would not encourage people to speak out. I get that.
Yeah. And it's actually resulting in quiet quitting where people aren't doing the full expected work that they're going to be doing. It's also it's resulting in something called rage applying, where people are applying for jobs because they got angry at something that happened at work, and they're applying and they're actually getting $20,000 to $30,000 on average more getting a new job after those after those situations. So that might actually end up being a good thing. Billie Eilish this week made a big splash over climate anxiety, says that it makes her want to barf all over the floor, but I won't stop selling merch or traveling. She says that she wants to do something about the climate change, but people still have to wear clothes, and I'm still going to make clothes because I'm not going to stop making stuff. And she still has to do concerts, so she's going to fly around in her jet because everybody else that doesn't have those things should be the ones who give up and sacrifice and reduce their carbon footprint. The biggest reason that we see climate change, though, is because of the geoengineering that's going on constantly, and all that we see all over the place with our skies being cloud seeded and all the garbage being sprayed from the chemicals that are flying through. That's the reason. That's the cause that we have all of this. And plus, I would be more worried that Billie Eilish has won 17 Grammys than I would to get climate anxiety. What does that say about our culture when Billie Eilish wins 17 Grammys?
I mean, what she's really saying there is that her travel and her effect on the climate is necessary because of what she does to make a living, to earn a living. So for those of you who actually just needed to go to work to feed your families, you don't get to have a carbon footprint, but she can have a carbon footprint because she sings and is creative and is an artist and is therefore deemed more relevant than you are on the planet. Just in case you didn't get that. That's what she just said.
Well, she's more important than everybody else. She's holy. She's the one that provides the entertainment for the plebes. And in order for us to be entertained, for the masses to be entertained and continue to be induced in our slumber, that is where we have to that's where we have to divert all of our funds, is to Billie Eilish and her quotey fingers singing. All right, real quick here, a couple of stories I want to hit before we get to Bad Theology and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. This is nobody. I don't know. I think I may have done this segment one other time, but here's this segment right here.
Get you in it. Getting judgy with it.
Getting judgy. I love it, man. I love it.
Getting judgy with it.
All right, so getting judgy with it. We got a couple of stories here that hit the courts that I thought were insane. A Norwegian filmmaker faces up to 3 years in prison for saying men cannot be lesbians. A woman in Norway is facing up to 3 years in prison on criminal hate speech charges after saying that a man cannot be a lesbian. Tonje Glevjon, a lesbian filmmaker and actress, was informed on November 17th that she was under investigation for speaking out against prominent Norwegian activist Christine Gjentoft on Facebook. Now, this is what's funny about this was this woman who said this is actually lesbian, and she said that a transgender female that often refers to herself as a lesbian mother. I'm sorry, she says that that lesbians cannot be men, right? That men cannot be lesbians. So you can't be a man that becomes a trans woman and then say you're a lesbian. Otherwise, I could say I'm a lesbian, but it doesn't work. But she's facing up to 3 years in jail for hate speech charges because she simply identified that men cannot be considered lesbians. Another story here, a German doctor is sentenced to over 2 years in prison. His crime? Illegally issuing mask exemptions during the pandemic. Now, I didn't know you could illegally issue a mask exemption.
Yeah, if you were, illegal, I mean, that would be like insurance fraud, kind of like if you say someone has COPD and they can't wear a mask because it affects their required oxygen intake and they don't have COPD, that would be an illegal or a fraudulent mask exemption.
So now are we going to go through and have mask audits now?
Yeah. Oh my God. Stop it.
2 years and 9 months in prison for illegally issuing more than 4,000 people with exemptions from wearing masks during the coronavirus pandemic. He was in Weinheim, confirmed Tuesday that the doctor was convicted of issuing incorrect health certificates. So it probably was something along those lines. Erica saying they had something. Now, if he was lying about it, I mean, in this instance, is lying really wrong if you're trying to help somebody circumvent an unjust law?
Well, you didn't ask me that question. That wasn't the question.
Well, no, now I'm asking the question. Now I'm posing the question to folks. Is it wrong?
No, it's not wrong. But if you're going to do it, then there are consequences and you have to be willing to pay them if that is how it's going to get looked at. I mean, hopefully you have your day in court if that's your choice and you get caught and you have to, you have to defend yourself and maybe you'll win based on principle, but you're still going to get into trouble and you have to know that you made that choice. You don't get to do it and then just say, oh, well, I should be able to get away with it because I did it for the right reasons.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point because whether or not that person is doing something that is legitimate, whether or not they are protecting someone, just like Rahab the harlot protected the spies and the children of Israel in the wall at Jericho. In her house, she lied about where they were, just like was it Anne Frank and her family lied about also I think Corey ten Boom, who was it that lied about the Jewish.
Anne Frank was the Jewish girl that was in hiding.
Okay, there
you go.
She
was being protected by the family, but yeah.
There you go. All right, now, folks, now it's time for the big one. We got 2 more segments left and a few minutes left here as well. Don't forget, by the way, we're simulcasting right now with our radio broadcasting affiliate, the Crusade Channel, over at crusadechannel.com. And the Crusade Channel live talk radio the way it should be. And we got some folks over there in the chat room, Crusader Stadium chat. We got Brian K saying it's great to hear you live. It's great to be back, Brian. And great to be over there. Aaron is also saying, hey, Aaron, welcome back. It's not me saying welcome back to me. It's them saying welcome back to me.
Sure, it's not.
There are a couple of Aarons and Aarons over there on the Crusader Stadium chat. If you want to hang out with them as well, go to crusadechannel.com/chat to find out how to be a part of there. You can also chat live with us on YouTube and Facebook and on Twitter, I believe. Yeah, on Twitter as well. All right, here we go, folks. Now it's time for this one right here.
You're teaching some bad theology. Your bad theology's annoying me. Oh, you're teaching some bad theology. Repentance is the only cure that you need.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the section of the show where we pull up things that are just really, really bad theology and talk about those. And this one, of course, is no exception. A Democratic representative cites scripture Jeremiah 1:5, as a matter of fact, in opposing protections for babies who survive abortion. A pro-choice Democrat representative ignited a social media debate this week when she quoted the Bible in opposing the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. The bill would require that life-saving care be given to babies who survive an abortion, according to the bill's supporters. It states that an infant born alive after an abortion has the same claim to the protection of the law that would arise for any newborn. The bill requires that the infant born alive be immediately transported and admitted to a hospital. But that's not where it stopped there with Representative Hillary Scholten, a Democrat of Michigan. She quoted Jeremiah 1:5 in opposing the bill. The verse is often quoted by the pro-life community. It reads in part, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." But as the pro-choice Democrat points out, as a pro-choice Christian who chose life, this issue is so personal to me. My faith informs my actions, but it doesn't dictate the policy of an entire nation. And further, when I read the scripture, I turn to passages and I'm guided by passages like Jeremiah 1:5, which states, "I knew you before I formed you and I placed you in your mother's womb." Here is the bad theology part here, folks. Aside from the fact that the murderer is actually using scripture to try to say it's okay to murder babies when they're born alive, after a failed attempt to murder them the first time, she says it doesn't say the government's womb or the speaker's womb. It says the mother's womb. I believe life is precious, but I reject the idea that if I embrace the sanctity of life, I also must be forced to invite the federal government in to regulate it. That's what she's saying here, folks. That is the bad theology this woman is espousing right now. That the Bible, which talks in one of the most sacred passages that tells us that God knew us before he formed us in the womb, and he placed us there and set us apart. This is the passage of scripture. First, it doesn't really apply to anybody else except for Jeremiah, but then it says, "I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." So he already chose Jeremiah to be a prophet for the nations. And she's saying, hey, just go ahead and murder all the Jeremiahs because they weren't murdered the first time after the failed attempt to kill people. Right. This, folks, is the bad.
I'm going to quote C.S. Lewis on that. People who can't understand books written for adults probably shouldn't comment on them either.
Wow.
That's a very interesting one there, Brian. Very interesting statement there. Oh, man, there is a sound clip.
That's Bryan@gmail.com for that. Bryan@gmail, if anyone wants to comment. I don't actually know if that's how you get in touch with it, but don't send me the emails on that one, please.
No, that's not Bryan@gmail.com, but I'm not giving out my personal email address again.
Do you want me to go ahead and give it out? I can give it out, man.
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I shouldn't do that. All right, here now. We only got a couple of minutes left, so we're going to hit this real quick, folks, because it is that time of the show as well. You're getting 3 segments in a row right here because we've had a lot of stuff talking about. Here we go. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. All right, folks, this is where we scour the internet and find those stories that make us say, what the Foxtrot? Right now, the Batman has taken a dump. I'm not talking about Batman taking off a suit and taking a dump. Batman, the comic, features the Joker becoming pregnant and giving birth to a, quote, handsome baby. But it's not the way you think. It's not the way you think. He didn't have intercourse to become pregnant. The latest chapter in the Joker's nefarious story arc may be the DC Comics arch villain's most unusual yet. He becomes pregnant. The way he becomes pregnant in the graphic novel is odd. It says here that in this volume created by Matthew Rosenberg and Carmen D. Giando, the Clown Prince of Crime. What the Foxtrot is that name? He becomes pregnant by some unnatural curse and gives birth to a vomit-inducing way. So he tries to get Zatanna, a magic user, to be his mate so he can procreate and have somebody to carry on his criminal legacy. She gets mad and casts a spell on him, which causes him to become pregnant. And they actually have a picture. I'm going to go ahead and share this so everybody can suffer along with what I've had to see as well.
Oh, no.
They actually have a picture of him getting a what do you call that, Erica? You go to the OBGYN and they actually look up in, the womb to check the baby.
What do you call that?
Yeah, like the procedure. Hurry up. We only got a minute left.
I don't know.
The comic depicts
a massive invasion of privacy.
The comic shows Joker, and it says here the comic depicts Joker and his progeny. I'm sorry. He goes and he gets an invasive procedure done, and then instead of having the child through a vagina because he doesn't have one, Joker gives birth by vomiting a sort of brown goo that, upon leaving his body, forms into a young boy that looks just like the Joker.
I can't. I mean, I don't even. How does anyone even take this seriously now? I mean, the Joker was the most diabolical, evil. That the Joker didn't want children. Do you not remember his childhood? I mean, come on. This is the most ridiculous abomination ever. And anyone who's a purist when it comes to the Batman and Joker story should be outraged. They should be burning these comic books in the street.
That's what's happening here. People, of course, were all up in arms about it, and they were blasting them about it. And over in the Crusader Stadium chat room, we got folks, Aaron Alchemist saying that DC is done, and we got people here that are like, oh yeah, really.
Jennifer says, "What's he looking at up there?" Which is why I'm trying to think. I'm like, I don't know what you call it when a dude goes to the gyno. I don't know what the name for that is.
I don't know what you call that either. I mean, there was that one Canadian chick that tried to sue because up in Canada because the OBGYN would not insert the tools
Speculum
into his cervix. The speculum into his cervix.
Yeah,
What the fuck, folks? All right, that's it for the show today. Thank you all, everybody, for joining us over on Crusader Stadium. We were simulcasting over there, Crusade Channel Live, the way talk radio should be, and also over at Mojo 50. Don't forget to check us out at breakdradio.com. We will be back next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11. Same bat time, same bat channel, where a bunch of jokers giving birth.
Yes.
All right, folks, until next time, make Christ supremely valuable. All right, we are out over on the Mojo stream. Thanks, everybody, for staying with us. We had a lot of chatters over there hanging out with us today, and especially talking about all this other stuff. Okay.
Hey, Aaron, I'm about a mile away from Fort Knox. You want me to stop and pick y'all up some gold?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great,
no
man.
gold. There's no gold in Fort Knox. Who are you kidding? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Boy, you're just raining all over my parade today. Thank you, misinformation.
You're the joke buster today, aren't you, Erica?
I'm trying to
just
trying to
busting
keep
my
it
chops
straight.
left and right.
Well, I tell you what, though, Brian,
am
you're the one that
I?
admitted that you had a cleaning service, a maid service, a laundry service. I mean, all of us over here are struggling in these times of want and woe, and you're bragging about the money. You're like, dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah, and you're not even feeling guilty about it. You were like, yeah, I did it, and I'd do it again. Oh, come on.
That's right. Why would I feel guilty about it? I hired them.
Well, then don't be mad if I'm picking on you about it.
Yeah, that's funny.
I wasn't mad that you're picking about. I could care less about what y'all said about that. That didn't bother me at all.
Oh,
Actually,
no, wait, what did I say
care
then?
less.
Was it the grammar comment? I'm sorry.
Well, no, you got me on the grammar comment. You got me. That's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. But it's whatever. Whatever.
Trust me, it's all in love. If I didn't pick on you, it would mean I didn't like you.
Okay, gotcha. It's all in love.
You know,
boy,
that's an
if
East
I had
Coast
a
thing.
nickel for every time somebody told me that they were picking on me out of love, I'm the most loved man in America.
Well, I tell you what, man, if I had a nickel for what was I going to say?
If you had a nickel for every time somebody said if I had a nickel.
Oh my gosh, man!
I mean, can I now please add if I had a nickel to the list of comments that are old? Okay, that's going on the list.
Oh yeah, you're picking. Okay, now you're picking on all my old timey comments.
Yeah, you know what?
We're steeped in old timey traditions.
It comes so naturally to you, like you just say it like it's something you've said your whole life, and as soon as you say it to me, I go, wait, what? What? Wait, huh? Okay. It just sticks out to me when you say him. I'm like, okay, there's another one. I feel like your parents must have been or are very interesting people because you probably heard those things growing up a lot for you to use them like that.
Oh, I heard all kinds of really good hillbilly things, you know.
Hold on. Nobody ever said they were hillbilly. You just did that. I only said
No, that's exactly
that
what
they were
I'm attributing
old.
them to. I'm attributing them to being hillbilly. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Oh my God.
No, that's.
Do you see Timmy's comment? Timmy says, "I'm so old." I said, "If only I had a penny. If I only had a penny."
Hey, got to count for inflation, Timmy.
Yeah, that's the second time today I've gotten "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" references stuck in my head when we were talking about that Christian property manager.
Yeah.
And Bryan kept saying fornicate. If they were fornicating, if they were going to fornicate, I kept thinking about Delbert in that. He was like, we was fixing to fornicate too, Everett.
They lift him up and turn him into a horny toad.
Oh man! And then the one where I think it was the governor, the guy running for governor. He's like, he ain't even old timey.
I mean, I think it's a little extreme, but that landlord is putting it all out there in the application, right? You know exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah, you do.
My point was not even that he denied him because of that. I think my issue is that he was making an assumption that they were sinning and you couldn't prove it. So, and as a Christian brother, I think they have an audience and he can go and correct them and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with that either. Or he can at least say, hey, this is why I'm doing this, maybe something to think about. But, you know, in the list of stuff that Aaron said, which I thought was interesting, you know, the bottle of wine or the case of beer, you know, there's a lot of things that people are going to assume is sinful that are not even listed in Scripture or even refer to being sinful. And I think that's a different problem.
I mean, well, because you're the pastor, so you go directly to sinful. But the case of beer, I mean, you could as easily have somebody who doesn't want alcohol on their property and put that as a question. Do you drink alcohol? And are you okay if alcohol is not allowed in the property? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, from that perspective, you don't even have to come from it biblically to where you can. But I mean, there are certain things you can't do once you get over private residential rental. You're not allowed to do any of that. That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. It's and I actually, it slipped my mind, Erica, that you had that expertise. So I'm glad that you kind of added that on there. I know that I think the difference is that first, if you're a private organization and you don't advertise to the public,
right?
And then somebody comes to you and like, hey, can I do this? And you're like, yeah, but here are my rules. It's private property. I'm not advertising to the general public about this.
Right.
But if you're saying we're accepting applications, we are residential property, anybody can come and apply. And when they do, then you begin to say, no, you can't do this because of that. That's when it becomes a problem, because what you're doing is casting the idea that everyone can come, but then you're picking and choosing by this application.
Yeah. Well, and then you're misrepresenting yourself. So that would be wrong for you to do.
Well,
that.
I was also told by my landlord when I first moved into the townhome that I lived in, that is the very reason why she doesn't advertise publicly, is so she can be a little pickier about who she rents to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
There's nothing illegal about that. Whether or not you find it wrong or discriminatory is a personal opinion. Everybody is going to feel different about that. You know,
it really is, and of course, all of that is, as a Christian, I think, and as somebody that believes in private property and believes that a person should be able to do what they wish with their establishment, with their business, I salute the guy. But then you want to make sure, because these kind of things will set precedents, which will cause court cases, which will then make even stricter laws and problems. So, and again, I'm not disagreeing with his right to do it. They saw that and they answered accordingly. Now the question is, I mean, had they marked that they weren't Christians, or not question, but had they marked that they weren't Christians, he probably would have rented the apartment to them. You know. And I wonder about that. It's like, so you won't rent to Christians because of the scripture that says that, but you will rent to non-Christians whom you believe are going to engage in sinful activity in the apartment. You're going to
don't know.
do that as well.
We don't know. Like, I guess you'd have to see, because he could also say, "I'm a Christian and I'm not going to rent to you because you are going to cohabitate, and I don't personally agree with that, and I find it personally offensive to my faith." And if that's what you checked, that can also be held again. I mean, I guess the only answer there would be that you're fully in line with what he considers faithfully correct, or he's not going to rent to you. And he's covering it by making you check and not asking you. Because keep in mind, it is still illegal, even if you have a private residence and you're under 12 individual units, it's still illegal to ask that. Right?
So you're saying that
So
if you
you're putting it out there, and then the person who wants to apply can refuse to answer it, and they don't have to fill out the application. You're not, because you can't ask that. That's like asking someone if they plan to be pregnant before in a job interview, or like those are things that you could come out that would just in general violate equal housing opportunity. Like not fair housing, that would be different, but just like under having a registered rental property in a given county or municipality, there are certain things that would be taken as discriminatory renting. And so you, by putting the questions out there, you're allowing that person to answer them. They don't have to. You're not forcing them, and you're not asking it in a situation where it's unknown that it's going to be used against them. It's all right there, and they can either choose to or not to apply.
So you're saying that in a property where you have less or fewer than 12, you can't do that. What about properties that have greater than 12?
If you have greater than 12 on any one lot, so then you are subject to fair housing laws, which means you can you're subject to market rate, like fair market rate. You're subject to all the fair housing laws. Like you can't discriminate. You can't say who you want to rent to by color, race, creed, religion, faith. You can't do that. You're subject to all the fair housing rules. And if you do it for
12.
one, yep. And if you do it for one, you have to do it for all.
Yeah, like I know that for certain, because you can't, because then that would look like discrimination if you're not evenly applying any of those questions or any of those restrictions or allowances. I mean, and it also goes for allowances too, not just restrictions. So
right.
Hey Erica,
All the fees.
Hey Erica, I got a question for you about that. When you're dealing with rental properties and things like that, have you heard of a preferred employer discount?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So apparently
in any
that's
general
a big thing in Northern
area.
Kentucky right now.
Yeah, they do. We do it at almost all of our properties, especially if they're located near like an Amazon distribution center, or let's say there's a Ford plant, or like out in Elkhart and Mishawaka, there's a lot of mobile home manufacturers and a lot of camper manufacturers. So we'll take those people and make them preferred employers, and it basically just gives you like a discount. It's not a ton, but we do it for first responders. And then sometimes it depends, like, yeah, there's different ones that we do in each area, but that's a thing.
So a buddy of mine was looking around. He was looking around Northern Kentucky for a piece of property, or for an apartment, and the apartment that he was in was jacking his rent up another $300 or something like that when he renewed his lease. And turns out that there's a lot of properties in the Northern Kentucky area that are preparing for the influx from the big Amazon hub that's coming there, or that's in the process of being built there. And that's one of the things that he kept finding all over whenever he would go to the different properties was, do you work for Amazon or another, preferred employer? Because they're literally pricing themselves out of the market for anybody who's not a preferred employer. Which is kind of interesting.
I don't think you can. I mean, you can give a discount to them if that's your policy, that you want to give discounts to those. You can do that. That's not against the law. You can offer a discount to first responders. You can offer discounts to local school districts. Depending, I mean, it's or any.
Is there a limitation on how much of a discount you can give them?
Well, you can't price gouge it, like make it so much of a discount that you're undercutting fair market rate, because at that point you're also subject to local ordinances. Like you can't, there's a fair market value that's determined by the amenities in the area, and just like a gas station in a price change, you either have to be within the range of fair market value, a little over or a little under, but you have to be right in there, because otherwise you're going to be guilty of manipulating the market, and that's a fair housing violation.
Gotcha.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean that they're going to tell you that they're not doing it. I can't tell you that it's not doing it. People will do a lot of things if they think they're not going to get caught as a renter or like as a landlord or a property management company. They'll do a lot of things if they think that they can get away with it, really. But there's also people that drive around and try to trick you to see if you're violate, like people that work for the government. If you're in a public housing situation, they will drive around and come in and try to rent an apartment or call and ask you questions to see if they can get you to say something that violates it, and then they'll slap you with a fine.
Oh, so it's almost like so they're staking them out. They're trying to catch them.
I was gonna say, wouldn't that be considered entrapment?
Yeah. Well, no, because they get paid full time as full-time employees, and that's all they do is go around and try to test the walls.
And now I think entrapment, that's like a stakeout. That you have to let them know that they're a cop. You have to cause them to commit the crime, or a federal agent or law enforcement officer of some type, and then you have to have them commit a crime, and then you have to bust them for committing the crime. So it's a totally different setup than that. So, all right, folks. Well, we're still going live on the streams, but we're going to go ahead and end those now. Thank you to everybody who joined that. Don't forget to check out our new affiliate, Crusade, the Crusade channel. Go over to crusadechannel.com and check out all the shows over there and join it and check it out there. You can also check out how you can join the chat room as well. The Crusade channel, crusadechannel.com, the live talk radio the way it should be. I think I messed up that. I'm going to have to work on that this week. And then also, of course, you can check us out there. And on breakdradio.com, you can click on the mic in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, folks, it's been a great show. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Erica, Bryan, thank you all so much for hanging out as well.
You're welcome. Onward and
Have a
upward.
great weekend.
Very welcome, brothers.
Awesome. Be safe.